Masik, you can hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hi, everyone. Vasuki, are we live? Shani, I guess we are live, right?
Yes, we are live. I just wanted to welcome everyone here, and just wanted to say that we'll wait for a couple of more minutes before we start the session.
Meanwhile, Ishani, we can go with the video.
Yeah.
Ishani, can you hear me? Ishani, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, Deepak sir.
We'll just get started. Ishani, back to you.
Yes, thanks, Vivek. Good morning, everyone. We welcome you to the 6th edition of Voice of Manufacturing, Digital Transformation in Manufacturing Value Chain. It's an initiative under the IndDIC program, Industry Digital Innovation Consortium of NASSCOM CoE. I'm Ishani Das, the Innovation Program Manager for IndDIC, and I'll be your anchor for the day. So let me start by giving you a glimpse of the agenda and introducing our eminent keynote speaker and esteemed panelists. Voice of Manufacturing is an initiative from NASSCOM CoE IndDIC to bring together a core group from ecosystem and make them accessible and approachable to resolve industry problems holistically. This edition of VOM will bring out larger economic perspective of the manufacturing industry linked with Digital India mission in every step, digital transformation journey across the value chain. We cite an outlook from the lens of the end users or adopters, where manufacturing leaders will talk about digital maturity, viability, and the ability to adopt digital offerings across their value chain, bringing in tangible impacts or return on investment. Just a brief introduction of our esteemed keynote speaker, Mr. Deepak Bagla, and our panelists. So we have Deepak sir. Deepak sir, he is currently holding the position of Managing Director and CEO Invest India. It's a national investment promotion and facilitation agency by the Government of India, and also the execution agency for government startup initiative. Over 3 decades of experience, he has worked with World Bank in Washington, D.C. and Citibank Global Corporate and Investment Banking teams across Europe, Africa, Asia, and Australia. Introducing the other panelists of the day, we have Dr. Ajai Garg. Dr. Ajai Garg is a Senior Director in the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Government of India. He is currently the Head of the Department for International Cooperation. both bilateral and multilateral, startups, innovation and IPR, software industry promotion, e-commerce. Strong background in policy formulation and evolving policies, international negotiation, advocacy on IP issues, innovation, cross-border data flows, trade promotions, and schemes and programs for technology and innovation management. Next, we have Mr. MP Dubey. Mr. MP Dubey is the Joint Director of STPI. STPI is Software Technology Parks of India, an autonomous body under the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Government of India, as head and officer in charge of the center and nodal officer, Andhra Pradesh. He has been instrumental in the setup of the .in domain and root server in the country and contributed in developing the STPI centers across Pune, Mumbai, Indore, Mohali, Jaipur, Srinagar, and northeastern regions like Guwahati. Next, we have Mr. Pranjal Sharma. Mr. Pranjal Sharma is an economic analyst, advisor, and author of India Automated. He leads public discourse at global and national platforms, including World Economic Forum, St. Gallen Symposium, Horace's Global Meeting, and IMA, and has served as a member of the Global Agenda Council at the World Economic Forum for 8 years. We have Dr. Shishir Shrotriya as well with us. Dr. Shishir serves as the Counsellor for Science and Technology, Embassy of India, Moscow. He's steering the India-Russia STI collaboration. He's done his MTech and PhD in the field of technology management and innovation from IIT Delhi. He's associated with a lot of research institutes and leading the science and technology divisions. We also have, for the second session, we have Mr. Srinivasan Balasubramaniam. Sir has a professional experience of 2.5 decades and currently serving as the Chief Executive Officer of International Aerospace Manufacturing, which is a joint venture between Rolls-Royce and HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, Bangalore. He has vast experience in supply chain, procurement, program management, multi-location plant management, after-sales services to business management, and has handled SAP implementations across various sectors. We have Mr. Vijay Kalra, who's currently holding a group leadership role as the head of Mahindra Institute of Quality and Chairman, Central Safety Council at the Mahindra Group, wherein his role involves implementing business excellence model, the Mahindra way. We also have Mr. Nandkumar Kulkarni. He's currently the Director Manufacturing, and he's an experienced operations supply chain professional with 20 years of experience, leading the supply chain for multi-million revenue growth, new category entry, and delivering strong free cash flow and profit growth. He's working on transforming operations from shelf to field to create future-ready supply chain. We have Mr. Sunil Mehta. Sunil Mehta is currently holding the position of GM Industry 4.0 Mitsubishi Electric. In his current role, he is promoting e-factory concept of Mitsubishi Electric Japan for smart manufacturing. He also has an additional responsibility as chairman of CLPA to expand industrial Ethernet network in Indian manufacturing industries. Lastly, but not the least, we have Ms. Hima Parvataneni. She is a strategy leader with over 10 years of experience working in the Silicon Valley, and who's currently the CEO of Navata Supply Chain Solutions. We have Mr. Vivek Saha. He is the director and head of Digital Transformation and Industry 4.0 NASSCOM CoE. He's 25 years experience as a practitioner across digital transformation and consulting, SI consulting and digital intelligence, advanced analytics, AI for manufacturing, automotive, communication, retail, and banking sectors. I wanted to welcome all of you on board. Thank you so much. I'll hand it over to Vivek to welcome the keynote speaker.
Fantastic. I think we have a very, very rich set of panelists out here. And as Shani said, we'll start with the keynote from Mr. Deepak Bagla. He's at the epicenter of innovation in India, right? Whether it is healthcare or it is manufacturing or any other industry. So I'm very excited to hear from him in terms of the next leap forward, right? How the industry, he's seeing industry and the innovation from his side, because the investment goes to only those people who make real tangible benefits in the industry, and who are actually echoing the whole mission and vision of the government and for the country. Over to you, Mr. Deepak, for your kind words.
Thank you, Vivek. So good to see you again. It's been a while. And first, my apologies. And Ishani, thank you very much for all your hard work. And I know working with me is very difficult because I'm completely zero in digitization and the computer. Believe me, I had a tough time logging in just now. So you can see how good I am at these things. And it's ironic that you're asking me to speak on it, but I must do that. And I must say, you have a very distinguished set of panelists today. And I think I would be more than excited to listen to them than to have somebody listen to me on this subject. But let me just throw a few thoughts and share a few suggestions and thoughts on my experiences, what I've seen. One is also just to put it in perspective what Invest India does. So I've got 4 arms. The first is obviously investment promotion and facilitation. And if I can just show off a little on that one, because I've just got the news late last night that the UN has rated Invest India as the world's best investment promotion agency from over 180 countries. So this is all a testament to all what is being done by every one of you. And in many ways, Invest India is a startup of the government of India, because we started just 5 years ago under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi. So you can see how fast everything is changing. The second element is Startup India. And as you mentioned, we are the execution arm for Startup India. And you know what is happening in Startup India. I mean, in 2016 is when you launched it. And why I'm mentioning this is because this will be critical to join the dots as we speak further and for all the panelists. And in a period of 48, 50 months, we are number 3 in the world in number of unicorns, number 2 in the world in number of startups, and number 1 in the world with new startups adding every day. In fact, even during the lockdown, we added 6 unicorns, 3 on fintech, 1 on software, 1 on IoT, and 1 on fashion. So just imagine how well this is happening. The third is a very interesting thing which we do. We are the execution arm for the Prime Minister's Science and Technology Initiative, which is under Professor Vijay Raghavan, who's the principal advisor to the Prime Minister on Science and Technology, and under which we have some very interesting programs. One is Waste to Wealth, where we are picking up sentinel sites from across the country and putting up projects there, which will be proof of projects and proof of concept to get the best technologies in the world to make that happen. And that's a very exciting initiative which is happening currently. The second is also very interesting. It's called AGNI, AGNII, Accelerated Growth of New India Innovation. We are picking up innovation both in the public and the private sector and doing a fast tracking of that to commercialization. And that program is getting a lot of momentum across, both from the innovator side as well as from the industry side. And I'm seeing large number of global corporates and local corporates working towards and working eagerly looking forward to these innovations which are coming out of India. The last is what we call is the project management group of the Prime Minister. This used to be under the Cabinet Secretary. It has been moved to Invest India last year. And this is where it feeds into the Pragati program of the Prime Minister, where he personally monitors the execution of large level projects to see how fast it is happening. Look at all 4 of these verticals which I spoke about. And what you will see is all 4 of them are riding on the backbone of digitization. Let me start by sharing that in my mind, we are at one of the most critical inflection points in our history. And when I say in our history, I'm not just talking of modern Indian history since 47, I'm talking of thousands of years even back to that. And the reason why I'm saying that is that we are going and experiencing the most unprecedented change ever in human history. Now, it's a very strong statement, and you will be wondering why am I saying that? Look at it, both in terms of the pace at which change is happening and the scale at which change is happening. And look around you, nowhere else will you have such a precedence where the pace of change and the scale in the free world of the change or the impact of this change has anywhere been there recorded in human economic history. And it's all riding and being driven by a digital infrastructure and a digital backbone. that entire digital program unleashed and that entire initiative by this government in the past 5 to 6 years is what is going, in my mind, to be the most unprecedented change ever in human history in India. In my mind, we are at the bottom end and we are turning around at the bottom end of that hockey stick and ready to take on that vertical self in a most unprecedented manner. Now, let me get back to the point, and when we are talking of manufacturing, and let me say manufacturing cannot be looked at in isolation. Manufacturing is a subset of everything around it, the socio-economic, political. All those three pillars are very critical because they envelop what manufacturing is in. Now, look at it. The pace of change in each of these pillars, socially, economically, and politically, is at a very rapid change. And what is interesting is it is happening at that point in our history where all these three elements and all these three pillars are changing at a rapid pace at the same time and moving in a single direction, creating a multiple momentum on that change. That's what brings me to the bottom end of that hockey stick. Let me give you an example. Never before in human economic history, a brand new company could get 100 million new customers in 180 days. And the cost of acquisition of a customer being 1/5 of that of the global average. Or a brand new global company comes into India and gets 36 million new customers in 30 months. Again, at a cost which is less than half of the global average. Or let me take the example of COVID itself. Look at, we went into the most unprecedented lockdown in human history. Again, in somewhere around 23rd, 24th of March, if I'm right. Vivek, was that the date? 24th of March, I think, or 25th.
You're right.
On
You're right.
the 30th of March, we did not have a single PPE in India. We were short on ventilators. We did not have a single PPE. We were scurrying around the globe trying to get and buy those. And you know, the problem was that most of the globe was closed. You just had 4 or 5 countries. And the kind of, the terms you were getting was completely unacceptable in normal terms of business. I mean, you were asked to make 100% payment earlier without even being able to test what you were getting and things like that. It was impossible. That is 30th of March. Look at 30th of July. And that is what? April, May, June. 4 months, 120 days. We had a run rate of more than 1 million PPEs a day. Not just enough for India, but where we could export them to the entire world. We were exporting them to Europe, we were exporting them to the US. And I'm not just talking of masks and PPEs and etc. I'm also talking of those ventilators. Now, how did that happen? And I would urge you to go into it. If you go onto my website, investindia.gov.in, you will see BIP, the Business Immunity Platform. This is a platform we launched just 12 hours before the lockdown. This was essentially to help business when they will be having problems or issues or sorting them out, or people. So this was, by the way, one of the reasons why this Business Immunity Platform, every day, if you go on it day by day, there is a pie chart on what were the nature of queries which came in on that day. And the interesting thing is that this pandemic has no playbook for any country in the world or any government. So what it is now being done, this is now being taken up as a case study globally, because every day when you look at that pie chart, you saw the nature of the queries kept changing every 24, 48 hours. That showed you how this pandemic evolved. And we used to do a lot of AI internally within the team. And we used to be able to predict what would be the next issues. And that is where we started coming up with solutions. And this all rode on the very basis of a very strong digital framework. Why am I telling you this? The reason why I'm telling you this is one of the most profound impacts of digitization and this entire infrastructure has been on governance. And I'm taking you to the point of manufacturing after that, because you have the experts on the panel who will be talking to you more about it. But what has happened? Think about it, 1.3 billion people into a lockdown. And mind you, we are one of the highest migrant people in the world. You know, last year itself, and you must have, if somebody's been with me on some other panels, I brought it out. Last year, you know how many people traveled on our trains and metros? Last year itself, in 1 year. And we have a population of 1.3 billion, a little over. Vivek, do you want to take a guess?
Yeah, very wild guess. I mean, it should be 30, 40 million.
Do you take another one? I'll tell you why I'm saying that. 8 billion people, not million, billion trips happened on my railways last year. Do you see the migration impact which is there in India?
Right.
And you know what is the result? I was seeing yesterday the analysis of how this pandemic has spread. 50%, so you know India has over 735 districts. We all know that, administrative districts. 50% of the cases of this pandemic are confined to 34 districts of India out of 734 or 39. 50% are confined to 34 districts. Of the 28 states and 8 union territories, 85% of the cases are confined only to 12 states, including Delhi. It is a humongous task. And yet, with the backbone of this entire digitization, you've been able to contain in some manner. We don't know how this pandemic and this virus behaves every morning, but this is what the situation was as of yesterday. And how is it going to help us? It is going to help us is that the more better you contain it, the better are your chances of getting out of it, either a U or a V. And today, I believe that we are going to be in a situation where we are going to be in a V. Now, what happened during this pandemic? One is, we went scurrying around, my MSMEs and my young innovators pivoted their business model. Somebody who was making towels, somebody who was making hosiery, changed their business models overnight. We got them linked to the technologies available. We got a small MSME innovator linked to a large automobile company. All these linkages happened in those 120 days. When we came up with our own ventilators and our own PPEs, and by the way, PPE is a fairly technical thing. You know, the lining of the PPE, which it has to be done, has to be that it's not a stitching, it's a fusing, which is very, very technical so that nothing passes through.
Right.
And we got this all, and this is the strength of India. And what I see as we come out of this COVID, that the new India is now going to be bottom up. And what I mean by that is that the engine of growth is moving beyond the 6, 7, 8 centers, 10 centers, the metro centers and the larger centers, to the small towns and cities of India. And where is that coming in from? Is that entire digitized digital framework. And that framework, when the solutions which are coming up, which are bottom up, in manufacturing, in every element, be it agriculture, be it manufacturing, I'm not just talking of a Bosch, which is setting up a complete factory which is totally digitized with no human interface, or I'm not even talking of those hospitals in Jharkhand, which during COVID are using robots to supply medicines to patients. I'm not only just referring to, let us say, a Bajaj two-wheeler factory, which is now cobots, because of which they have a higher number of women employees, because the women, the cobots are helping the women to do tasks which were not earlier being able to do by women. That entire manufacturing processes are changing. The efficiencies are coming in. Those are the more evident ones. I'm talking of the ones which are not that evident. I'm talking of how governance is changing and leading to this entire momentum, because today, when the Prime Minister looks at that Pragati thing, that dashboard, to see where is the progress of each of those big projects which are being looked at, or when you come onto my website, the National Infrastructure Pipeline, where it is, which is the India Investment Grid, which has 10,000 projects on it, which an investor globally can just come and invest in. We monitor those projects on a daily basis. And how is that possible? That is possible only because of this entire digital framework. And I can't even in this short period of time explain the external impact of these things. So there is a new India which is being born, which is based on not just viability, but efficiency. I have 730 million people on the net today, and every second, 3 new people are joining the net. And of those 3, 2 of them are from a village in India. I'm the largest English speaking on the net. By 2025, I'll be 1.5 billion people. That will be my population. I'll be the largest customer base of the world, at least for the next 200 years within a single national geography. 1.5 billion customers on the net, 1.5 billion people with a mobile phone, 1.5 billion attached to a bank account, and 1.5 billion with a unique identity number. Look at that power. And there was no other way that you could have created and made each of those 1.5 billion people as a single resource contributing if you did not have this digital framework, which is what is happening today. This is changing India. This is changing the very basics of manufacturing. When we are talking of manufacturing 4.0, we are looking at 5.0. We are leapfrogging. This digitization is creating that leapfrogging which is happening in India. You know, just the other day, this was about 2 weeks ago, I was on one of those platforms. And I shared the platform with a young 19-year-old boy called Rohit Kashyap. Rohit Kashyap is from Sitamhari in Bihar. And you know what Rohit does? Rohit has a startup called MeitY School. And in that startup, he is helping startups in and around his district and villages to get them mentorship, to get them financial support, and to get them linked to the world for their market, of their products or their services. One of the things which my team is doing is we are working now on that one product, one district, or one district, one product program. We are picking up one product in every district, which is the Prime Minister's vision, and which he's taken us to, and we are wanting to make that product into a global product. That means doing everything on the manufacturing there and every other element which is coming up with the innovation and the strengths of India. So the second strength of India, which I see, will be, to my mind, be driven by the MSMEs of India. Vivek, how much time do I have? Another 2 minutes, 3 minutes? How much?
Yeah, continue. I think it's very, very engrossing, Deepak. And we have 3-4 minutes, but okay. We are quite engaged.
Okay, I'll just close it on the MSME one, and I'll leave you all because you got such good speakers today. I'm the last of those you should be hearing to. To my mind, this next phase of our growth, which is going to be a huge growth spurt, is going to be driven by the MSMEs of India. The big strength of India was MSMEs. You know, we call it Jugaad, but that Jugaad has a strong strength to it. And if you bring in modern technology and you merge it with others, you see the strength of that innovation which is coming out. What my Agni program is doing is just joining the dots. It is 10 people in the same element who are doing work in the same area, joining them together, sharing their views and coming up with a product or a solution which is not just for India, but the entire world. I must give you an example. Last October, I had in my office of the top 3 PE firms of the world. Top 3. I can't name it because I don't have his permission. And I'm just giving you a number 3. It could be less than that also. One of the founders, who's obviously one of the richest PE individuals of the world, came into my office, and he was traveling in from the West. And he had come in for 40 minutes because he had heard about Invest India. He said, I want to meet a few of your startups. So we'd called 18 startups in a short period of time, and they were all the ones which a large part of them were from the smaller towns and cities who were into Delhi because there was a competition going on. He was in my conference room. He cancelled all his appointments for the day, stayed there for 4.5 hours, walked into my room after that, had invested his personal money in 5 of them, and told the head of my startup team with his card saying that you get your startups, you contact me directly. And he told me, Mr. Bagla, the most amazing thing of your startups is that the solutions which they are giving me are solutions not just for the top 500 million of the world's population, but the 6 billion of the world's population. I'm not talking of the entire 7.5 billion, which is the world's population. He said 6 billion of the world's population. And he said the most exciting thing about them was they're easily scalable and at completely competitive price points. The solutions are the one which are most realistic, and these were solutions which were from healthcare to agriculture to manufacturing. Why I thought I wanted to bring this perspective is, and I know it is a little away from just pure manufacturing because you have the experts who will be speaking to you on that. That's when I spoke about the Bosches, the Bajads, and also to let you know that in the past 15 months, we've opened over 1,046 R&D centers in India, and these are R&D centers of global multinational corporations. Today, I am the #1 destination of global MNCs opening their R&D centers outside of India. And a large number of these are impacting my entire manufacturing base. The solutions, they are creating proof of concepts and proof of those projects in India as laboratories, as I spoke to you about some of them, maybe in the aviation, every sector. This is now a brink and the introduction to a new India. And it is riding on this entire digitization framework. And this digital framework is not just changing manufacturing, but the first time in our history, it is creating a democratization of initiatives, of incentives, of access, of education, of healthcare, and of a contribution to make this country grow together. Thank you, Vivek. I know I've gone all over the place in my remarks today, but I thought I'll just share with you some random thoughts. And this is where I wanted to end. Thank you, and back to you.
Fantastic, Deepak. I think this is very insightful. Actually, we are already into the next normal, right? People keep on talking about what is the new normal post-COVID times, right? But we have not realized, and Deepak, you have made it very evident that the next normal is already here, and we have embraced it, right? No, and if you have not embraced, the biggest proof is you and me and the whole panelist group would not have been talking like this, right? No, think about the days 1 year from now, before when the COVID started. I mean, I think we have hit the anniversary of COVID as well, right? We could not have been talking like this. We could not have been connected like this. And I think the biggest factor which I see that is the trust factor. I think, while communication and connectivity, all that has really come up, and there are a lot of changes in the OSP rules now in terms of getting a better connected world. But I see at the baseline, at the foundational level, where the optical fiber is the trust, right? And this is what I think the global market has also embraced. We have somebody from our embassy in Moscow, sitting in Moscow embassy out here, and he'll talk about how that trust factor has really come up in our panel. Just one question, Deepak, to you, and you talked about the MSME segment, right? We have been in discussion with a lot of these associations who are kind of a conglomerate of all these MSME segments, whether it is automotive or medtech equipment manufacturer association or any association. There's a big apprehension, right? I think on one side, if you see the large companies have stopped imports from different countries, right? And you know which country I'm talking about. There's an apprehension with the MSMEs to start up a new manufacturing unit. There is a apprehension for them to also get digitize the way other people are also getting digitized. How do we gear up with that challenge? Because it's not that they are cash rich, right? And they can start right away. Startup has its own model, but when you talk about MSMEs, you need a jerk start for them, right? How do we address that challenge?
This is the crux of the entire thing, Vivek. So, first is the strength of my MSMEs, if you look at it, their ability to pivot their business models. They can change them very fast. Right. 2, they are very strong in frugal innovation. They use that capital and they squeeze every element out of it. What we have to do, and I think this one district, one product is an initiative of the Prime Minister when his vision was there. And now that we are working on the execution side of it, one big thing which I'm witnessing in this one is that it's going to create a bottom-up swell. So, when I go to the handloom weavers in Varanasi, for example, and I'm trying to show them that how innovations have been done where that weaving can be made a little simpler, faster, more efficient, and how do we create a product line and how do we pivot the designs. By the way, they are exceptional. We've already covered 110 districts. It is the biggest learning for my team and me. It is one of the most exciting projects, I can't tell you. These guys are amazing at their ability to pivot the business models. So what we are trying to do, and the solutions are also there. It doesn't have to be a solution which is always something which requires very fancy technology coming out of it. And that is where I'm seeing the solutions which are coming up. So if we get these MSMEs on a fast track basis, and that is why if you go to the Champions portal of MSME, if you notice, the entire focus of the government during these 120 days has been how do we take care of it? By the way, I must tell you one thing about my MSME. Sorry, Vivek, I'm taking a little time. I was seeing the figures of September. We are in a period of moratorium where they don't have to pay back their... Yet, in the month of September, the collections from my MSMEs and microfinance collections were 90%, even in a moratorium. August was 65%. I can't understand this. This MSME strength, and I'll tell you what is really going to lead to the profitability of the MSME market. With fintech, so by the way, of those 6 unicorns, 3 are fintech. The 3 of the fintech unicorns, what is going to happen with fintech taking it forward? One is its ability to reach out to the remote areas and to every individual, makes it simpler. But more importantly, all bank lending in India has been on a traditional collateral basis. Aapka ghar le lenge, you'll take your land as a collateral and lend to you. That is why a large part of my MSMEs could not avail of the formal banking structure or the formal financial structure. With fintech coming in and GST, we have very good visibility on the cash flows, and now bank lending can happen on cash flows. That means an MSME who was borrowing at 22-24% from the informal market, even if he gets it at 12 to 14%, even where the bank makes a huge spread, just imagine the profitability which comes into that MSME. And that is where you will see the next level of banking going on, because traditional banking is breaking laws, and that is using AI, etc. You have all these new banks which are using that fintech approach to start lending to these MSMEs. It is such an exciting phase for us. It's unbelievable.
Absolutely, Deepak. I think we all are seeing that. In fact, I was just reading to all this news, and that's how we'll get ourselves into the next part of the session as well. How this whole economics are changing, right? If I talk about 7 months from now, right? 7 months, which is like somewhere around, we were in April, right? Or maybe May or June. Even that time, the apprehension was very high, right? And you talked about the moratorium, basically how the collection has happened, right? It's a significant change. So great, Deepak. I think this always requires more insights and more discussion, and I'll come back to you on a lot of other offline discussions as well, right? Because it really interconnects to the agenda with our IndDIC initiative at NASSCOM Center of Excellence, which is for Industry Digital Innovation Consortium. Now we bring all the ecosystem partners together to really get the industry adopted through the MSMEs, to the large industries, and of course all the tech SMEs and all the big players, right, including government and other bodies, because that's how the scaling of innovations can happen. So with that, many thanks, Deepak, for taking your time and giving us such an insightful keynote for all of us to get started with all our adrenaline flow out here, right? With that, we'll go on to the session 1 with our panelists. Feel free, Deepak, to stay in. I know your day is very busy. We will not hold you any longer beyond when you would want, right? So with that, we'll switch gears here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So Ishani, if you can, yeah. Great. Happy to start this session for industry economic growth and digital vision. I think, I don't know if Deepak has already left, but if you go to the next slide, Ishani, I want to give a kickstart to all of you, which you already know, but I think it is just adding to what Deepak already said, right? All these things are in the news where we have seen that in some other countries like China, the investments are going down. And of course, we are seeing the border tensions flaring up. But on the other side, right, we talked about MSMEs, we are seeing dramatic change and uplift of tapping and making a challenge to an opportunity, right? With PLI scheme coming in, which is production linked incentives, which is recently announced, and there's a big accolade by Mr. Anand Mahindra from Mahindra in terms of government initiating this initiative. If you go to the next one, Ishani, we are seeing that Government of India scale committee, they are eyeing for a 350 to 380 billion in manufacturing value addition. Automotive companies, and the ancillaries industry needs to go, which goes hand in hand with the MSME sector. Mr. Nitin Gadkari announcing that, and then you see some of the adopters or some of the large companies like Volvo. They are booked full till next March, right? So from being negative on the growth, we are super positive on the growth. And if you last but not the least, if you click on that, Ishani, I think we are also facing a challenge in the aftermarket sector of automobile, or mainly in the automobile when we talk about Atmanirbhar Bharat, where we see that a lot of spurious or imitated spares are also sold. I think in the times to come, all these will converge to scale into manufacturing value, because now the access to the market is very high. So with that, let me switch on to this session with everyone out here and give you a glimpse also as well on how the ROIs are shaping up as digital is getting adopted. This actually interconnects with the story of return on investment, right? And how the digital impact is there on return on investment. So with that, let me turn on to Dr. Ajai very quickly, right? And I need to connect that what Deepak already said in terms of how the MSME sector is growing up, how the new partnership models are buzzing out. So Dr. Ajai, maybe before I turn on to Pranjal from more on industry economics, I wanted to take your view also. He talked about bottoms up, right, which is innovation breeding from below and then it is coming back to the industry. What is your view in terms of this whole partner network which is shaping up in the Digital India mission? Over to you, Dr. Ajai.
Thank you, Vivek. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Hello, Vivek, are you able to hear me?
Yeah, we are able to hear you.
And how many minutes do I have? How many minutes do I have?
Sorry, can you say it again?
How many minutes do I have?
We have this panel till 1 o'clock. Not a problem. Please go ahead. I mean, you have another 2-3 minutes before we get on to Pranjal.
Okay. Okay. So, Vivek, just understand where the world is moving towards. There was a movement from Industry 3.0 to Industry 4.0, and it matured out in the last 2-3 years, and now we are seeing infusion of deep tech in the economic sector. This diffusion is not only pure digitalization, but digitalization driving other sectors of economy. So whether it's as Deepak earlier said, whether it's an agri-tech or a fintech or an automobile sector, digitalization will play the key enabler role for value addition and to drive the future productivity of these sectors. This will not only be in terms of the supply chain and others where digital becomes a part, but most of the hardware or many other factors in these sectors will be digital. The second important thing to note in this regard is with regard to how the world has changed and how the trade has changed post-COVID. The pre-COVID era was where the manufacturing was based out of one geography, services based out of India, and innovation based out of the third geography. And that created a triangle, economic triangle for the world. But in the post-COVID era, the things have changed in terms of two things. First and foremost is the world is now moving from a WTO controlled regime to a concept of a trusted value partner, where you actually look towards countries which have strong democratic, transparent mechanisms of operations, where you look towards that in spite of all challenges, they will always remain to be your trusted partners and will not defy the rules of the game. Security, data securities, and other such issues have become very primary in the post-COVID era. So from a concept of a distributed economic ecosystem, the world has moved towards a concept of a trusted value chain, and here the advantage India comes. So if you look at how Apple actually shifted its manufacturing from the one geography towards India with all its three key OEMs or partners establishing facilities, and that's a pure manifestation of this fact. But on the other hand, what government has done during the COVID era, and I should compliment my colleagues in this regard, that they have been very, very proactive in these 5 months. If the PLI scheme came in the toughest of lockdowns, the n number of challenges that were run by the government for bringing innovation into the system through and procuring them, changing the rules of the game, the many policy changes that were adopted for ease of doing business and for bringing investment into India are all, and on top of it, NASSCOM and the government played a very complementary role to each other to ensure that the services industry remains unhindered during the toughest of lockdown. Whereas world faced problems of getting manufactured goods, but services and critical services from India remain unhindered. And in fact, the work from home increase the productivity of our IC sector rather than decreasing it. And that is a manifestation of the commitment that we have as a nation. The second important thing is in respect of innovation. If innovation used to come from a country in the West, it has changed. The world is looking towards frugal, deep tech solutions which are robust, built on open systems, and catering to the other 6 billion population of the world, and not only limiting itself to the top 1.5 billion. And there, the advantage India of more than 50,000 startups that comes into play. Understand it. Indian startup ecosystem is frugal, based on low rates and all this, and this is a very important factor in the game. So the frugal, low-cost solutions and solutions which are solving problems rather than creating new set of applications for the world is what Indian startup ecosystem, what our innovation is, and that's an advantage which we have post-COVID. So things now, there is an opportunity which we have created. We have the basic framework to actually encash this opportunity, and now we need to work very hard for next 4-5 years to realize our dream of a 5 trillion economy by 2025. This can still happen in spite of COVID posing great challenges. Thank you, Vivek.
Absolutely, Dr. Ajay. In fact, we will come back to you on these numbers of 1 trillion, and we'll try to count it back in terms of how do we really execute from here to the next 5 years. So with this, I think, Pranjal, I am putting you on spot on the toughest of the question, basically, right? There are so many levers around economy, right? This whole value chain of industry, the whole ecosystems, and within the ecosystems, we have so many platforms, right? How do you see it from the lens of a shift in economic growth? I would say a next normal in economic growth. Parts of it, I think Deepak covered it. But how do you see India into the global map now, right? For us to kind of really create that benchmark. Pranjal, are you able to connect? Okay. I think Pranjal is having some connectivity problem, I guess. Right. Let me switch. I mean, while Pranjal is trying to connect, right, we'll switch on to Dr. Shishir. So, Dr. Shishir, you are sitting in Moscow, and of course, it is early morning for you out there. You heard Deepak, you heard Dr. Ajay, right? And we are not talking about technology right now. I know, no, we will take bottoms up view for sure, because that's where the innovation is breeding and bringing the value to the whole value chain, not only the manufacturing value chain. So in terms of economies and strengths of India, right? Typically, how do you see sitting there? How do you see the perception of India? Being a global, setting a global, front runner now, right? And with the whole digitized world, where we are connected. You are in Moscow and we're here, and we are talking like this, right? I know manufacturing a lot happened like this, but what is your perspective?
So, good afternoon to everyone in India. It's wonderful. The first two speakers talked almost very good strength points of India. And as you asked, the world's perspective is that India offers, of course, the largest market size possibilities to the world. But a lot of corporates and a lot of economic growth in the world is pushed and taken forward by the Indian brain. And the world realizes the value added contribution of the Indians, which has been there over so many decades. And with these new initiatives of the government of India, now the world has started to realize the contribution of our companies, which can be very, very important and significant. So low cost of innovation is not a new thing. Frugal innovation or Gandhian engineering, it has many names. Of Jugaad has been recognized by the world many a times. As far as the talented manpower is concerned, that right from 60s and 70s onwards, our brain from IITs, from many other institutes has been going to the West and many other countries for economic benefits or so. So per se, there has been a brain drain. But we have a highly talented manpower, as you are aware, and the innovations which are done by our brain or by our people or by us are actually been contributing only to the top portion, and the innovations done in the Silicon Valley are actually not the innovations which are relevant for India. So we have to do our own innovations, and future lies at the bottom of the pyramid, and the solution also has to be provided by the bottom of the pyramid. And this is what is being leveraged through many of the government initiatives, and now the latest Atmanirbhar Bharat, which is creating all these connects. So as far as NASSCOM or your initiative is concerned, you can play on these strengths, and the most important significant aspect of understanding this connect is that we have to work in the mission mode all throughout. We cannot be complacent. We cannot think that the pandemic is over. We were able to produce ventilators which we did not produce in 70 years. We did it in 70 days, as you are all are aware. And we were able to produce so many other things in this short period because of the one single force of integration. So integration was wonderfully done by all the stakeholders which are there in the system, may it be the government stakeholders, may it be the funding agencies, may it be the scientists, and above all our entrepreneurs who integrated all these solutions together and produced, manufactured, and then distributed, not only for us as a country which is a large market, but also for the world. So our strength was seen in this short period of time, and we must leverage on this strength of integrating this effort in the mission mode to solve all or at least few of our grassroots level problems, and that is the key to success. Coming on to the venture capital investment, which is also being talked about. You see, right from the previous times, the PE investment of venture capitalists of the other countries have been very interested in India, but it is also very important, as Mr. Bagla talked about, to integrate our own financial system to promote our own entrepreneurs, and that is the key, as he talked about. Now we can lend on the cash flows rather than the mortgages, and we want our own corporates who have been investing abroad, also in buying mergers and other aspects, acquisitions by our corporates abroad, to invest and promote our own MSME and startup ecosystem, and there is a lot which can be done in that. So that is another aspect. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dr. Shishir. I think very insightful from the perspective where you're sitting right now, right? And that's the perception I call, and perception is reality. So welcome back. I think Pranjal has already joined, I guess. So Pranjal, I don't know how much you heard when we got started with Dr. Ajai, and of course you would have heard Mr. Bagla as well. We are taking a bird's eye view or a top-down view, right? While Deepak or Mr. Bagla also talked about a bottoms-up approach where we are breeding actually innovation and how we are solving problems like developing a PPE kit in a 70 days duration time itself, which is like it has never happened in the past. From a global perspective, from a global next normal economic perspective, how do you see India changing the game, right, as the world sees us, right? I know we had a lot of dependence on imports. Now, actually, the imports might shift to exports, right? So, Pranjal, what do you want to kind of look through from the lens of economic conditions in India and how we set it up for the global world is what people would like to hear from you. So I think we have lost Pranjal's connection again, right?
He's just trying to log in. He's on and off in a couple of seconds. Some problem with his internet.
Okay.
While
Not
Pranjal,
a problem.
Can I just touch upon one more important aspect of the strength which we have not tapped till now?
Absolutely. Quickly, you can do that, and maybe we'll switch to Ravi then, in that, just in case Pranjal is not able to join in.
Yeah. So one significant aspect of our strength is also the crowdsourcing, which we have not been able to pull in, and which of course during this pandemic period we did integrate this together. And crowdsourcing of ideas and open innovation is a very important concept, which has spurred growth in countries like Russia. And if time permits, I'll give you some examples. I had some slides, but just now I'll just touch upon open innovation. And open innovation, fueled and supported by accelerators, is required to be pushed. We have very talented pool of young entrepreneurs, but they need to be supported through a process of acceleration. And that this IndDIC and voice of manufacturing can take on very easily. Open innovation concept has been very useful in Russia, where they have spurred growth by choosing the right direction. It also helps them in risk minimization and cost reduction, and capacity building and time saving. So if time permits, I'll give you some examples where in a period of 6 months or less than 6 months, many very, very important, significant solutions have been created in Russia also, and elsewhere in the world. And they brought together innovation not only for the corporates, but for the government, and also for the societal and economic benefits.
Absolutely, Dr. Shishir. I think we'll come back on that for sure. I think there are many stories, and we'll talk about the ecosystem, which is where I'll sum up in the end. So, Pranjal, you are back. Hope, I don't know how much you could hear. I think intermittently you would have been logged out, or some internet connectivity has been a problem. But I don't know if you. It's like there's a voice recognition from my side, and it happens, and Pranjal loses his connection. So let's switch to Ravi. Ravi, you have heard it, right? I think you have been constantly hearing it, and you have been in the industry, right? Into every technology bit, right? And whether it is automation, Industry 4.0, emerging technologies. And I know end goal of all these technologies will take a bottoms up approach as we move on to the session 2 as well. But if you see it from a bird's eye perspective, our penetration with digital technology or adoption, eventually we have to bring our operational efficiencies, our cost of production has to go down, our operations has to become efficient. We should be more competitive in the global world. I heard some time back the CM chairman talking about that, we just have to be competitive. We don't have to be in a fear mode, right? And it's like a bubble, it will automatically rise up. So when you see all these things getting implemented, how do you see this bubble coming up? The bubble of productivity, the bubble of cost, being ourselves competitive, automatically quality rising up. It's like an epicenter, India becoming another epicenter for the global exports.
Well said, Vivek. Courtesy internet, just to check, am I clearly audible?
Yes, you are.
Thank you. Now, very interesting. I'll pick up the threads from my learned colleagues, as have been speaking earlier. If I were to dance as a technopreneur on the situation at the moment, difficulties aside, temporary difficulties aside, I would really dance, because I do see a conspiracy of circumstances at the moment to make everything conducive for manufacturing and growth and exports and promotion of economy in India. Why do I say so? I mean, Vivek, you and me have been part of digitization and digitalization, but COVID has acted as a very big catalyst, and I think everybody agrees to that, catalyst towards digitalization. Having said that, the conspiracy of circumstances has also conspired to move in favor for the geopolitical and economic scenarios surrounding India. And thanks to Dr. Shishir, as he has very nicely pointed out, we have the privilege on sitting on one of the biggest markets in the world. I'll pick up another thread on that. MSME, the bottom of the pyramid in the manufacturing, are really the core strength of any country or economy. The governments may or may not recognize that, but their contribution towards the upheaval is enormous. Now, if I start connecting the threads just spoken about, if I take the digitalization part, Industry 4 part, innovation part, connectivity part, call it whatever perspective, the facet of the coin it might be, never earlier has it reduced the cost of learning, never has it in the past enabled the Indian MSME, the core strength of India as might be and is, to have access to the markets, access to the trends of the market, and availability of raw materials and technology. And I'm pretty sure lots of innovations, lots of catering and manufacturing sitting on the biggest market would happen. I'll take the triangular part, the manufacturing, the market, and the raw material base. Today, if you talk about technology, Vivek, or what you wanted me to delve upon, and the efficiency part of it, today technology is not an issue. Technology is available. However, sometimes the wrong slip road we tend to acquire is, if we spend too much on technology and machines, we will actually be crossing the river. However, it's not to do as much with the technology as with the connectivity and information. We are entering a phase of information-driven business. So instead of centering it on high technology machines, if we take the enterprise information about the market, information about the raw material suppliers, information which is going right on our shop floor with proper transparency, not window dressing by different departments, that what are the breakdowns, what is the downtime and all. Transparent, clear, objective information across the enterprise, across the markets, across the raw materials. That is the take, I would say, on technology, enabling our MSME and other enterprises. Sitting on the biggest markets in the world, the horizons have not been ever better in the past. So we have ready markets, we have technology available, the time has come, and in the geopolitical scenario, lot of manufacturing technology is coming, will come to India, all our collaborations will come to India. See, in a country of this size and this volume, you cannot make goods at some other geographical location and bring it into India and sell. Making in India with the right technology, variety, quality, and price for India will thereafter give us the critical mass, improve ourselves, that we will be able to cater to rest of the markets of the world as well and play our proper role in the worldwide economy, as you were asking. So that's the canvas I would like to draw on. Over to you, Vivek.
Absolutely. I guess we have Pranjal back. I think it's maybe we lost him a few times, but with your perspective, Ravi, it's very good to get him also answer this and kind of create a not really a validation check, but to get our integrated perspective. Is Pranjal back, Ishani?
I think he's having some trouble again, so I think he just got disconnected.
Okay, not a problem.
Joined in just.
I think the moment he joins, I think we'll grab him this time. Right.
Sure.
Fine. Fine. So what we'll do is I'll go back. In this case, I'll go back. Actually, not go back. I will let Mr. Dubey take the most important aspect of this whole scaling up of innovations or industrialization, as we talk about. So, Mr. Dubey, you have been at the epicenter of, I would say, skills on technology, right? You have been, I think, you have been working through on the emergence of industry zones, and STPI, of course, is one kind of a one of its way to kind of handle that. From your perspective, Mr. Dubey, the techno domain outlook of our industry skills or industry zones is becoming very, very important. See, we cannot no longer become say that IT, and IT, right? Or even digital has become so much well spoken with the people that people use IT or digital invariably, right? So, from your perspective, how do you see this whole techno domain outlook focusing on the industry zones and IT skills orientation?
Thanks, Vivek.
You are.
I think I'm audible. I think this is a very good topic. I think what you are talking, and there are so much technology has already been developed in everywhere. Why not we take those technology and try to implement into a digital transformation? And that's one of the way. On that basis, we started for the steel plant kind of steel industry, and you must be knowing that the India's per uh, mm, ton output which is coming is around 40,000, whereas the selling price by the competitive countries are around 30 to 33. So how we are going to achieve our compatibility? So that's why it's a need for our is to go for the digital transformation, and more or less more and more technologies are already there, and how those technologies are going to use by the talent. So there are.
Please remain on the line.
Are you having some problems with connectivity?
No, not some screen has come. So that's how we are talking with many startup and other. So who are going to use this digital transformation, like robotics, arm handling, like your automated your some problem is there. I think it's okay.
Yeah, we're getting
I think
some
it's
sound.
hearable.
I think maybe you have another
Audible?
2 minutes, Mr. Dubey. And of course, we'll come back to you shortly. Continue, please.
So that's how the talent, our talent in different domain specific zone could be trained. People there are already in Google and everywhere you can find the kind of emerged technology based solution, but it is not in the local languages. So that's how we have already talked to some of the engineering colleges and started the course on the new technology which are coming, the digital transformation with emerged technology. The local talent were now being trained on local languages, so that such a huge your manufacturing can be given by the local talent. Similarly, for the recently we have done one program on welding, which are only ITI based. So welding simulation, high-end welding simulation could be easily trained by ITI students. So that's how we are generating the talent manpower. And domain-specific innovation, you must be knowing STPI has already created on automobile is motion at Pune. We are working one at maritime-based domain-specific, where only maritime-based application will be developed. And in Visakhapatnam, we are working in steel industry-based production on Industry 4.0, as well as the MedTech in Lucknow and Visakhapatnam. So that's how we are trying to create a culture how we can use more and more manufacturing through the digital transformation. And you must be knowing Now the day is such a competitive, you have to have use digital transformation using image technology to become a competitive by you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Great insight. I think we'll come back to you again with some more hard questions. This was easy question for you. So I'll switch on to Dr. Ajay again here, right? Dr. Ajay, if you're still there, I think one of the most important aspect to see the ROIs or to see the real impacts coming, right? Whether it is technology, whether it is policy, whether it is standardization. I think we have still not talked about standardization in digital, or it is skills, which Mr. Dubey talked about. How do you see the various ecosystems emerging out? I'm not talking about the innovation platforms and the startup innovation platforms, and of course, MeitY and NASSCOM Center of Excellence, where we both are working together, is already established. I'm talking about a broader ecosystem which kind of interconnects each of these, the large companies, the MSMEs, the technology companies, the providers, the tech SMEs, standardization bodies, right? How do you see the role of them? And in fact, NASSCOM has also evangelized this Industry Digital Innovation Consortium, which is one of its own kind to help people selflessly and get to that initiative. Where do you see that convergence? Where do you see that making an impact? Because that's very important from a scaling perspective.
Thank you, Vivek. In this context, I'll talk about the public digital platforms, a strategy of digitalization which India has adopted, which is very different from the world. So if you look at some of our initiatives on public digital platforms, whether it's Aadhaar or the UPI or the recent emergence of the health stack and all these, what these platforms provide is an integration network around innovation and data, because data becomes the key driver of future innovation. So, and India talking about 20 different public digital platforms on all key sectors of economy around digitalization. Whether it's in agriculture, manufacturing, MSMEs, and all that. What it does is these public digital platforms actually bring all players onto a single platform, and they mutually actually complement each other to create the next wave of growth in that sector or solving problems of that sector. So if the health stack was there, it was because of it was possible to have an Atmanirbhar Arogya Setu in just a matter of few days. It would have never been possible if the health stack would not have been there to produce a solution, digital solution to actually handle COVID through an Arogya Setu like app. If UPI is there, that creates a seamless fintech ecosystem in this country, and not a dominant power actually drives the fintech ecosystem that happens in the rest of the world. Here we have 4 to 5 large wallet players compared to 1 or 2 in the rest of the world. So the point is that the convergence, what you talked about, Vivek, is happening in India through a very, very innovative process of public digital platform. And that's the only, we are the only country that actually leverages upon the public digital platforms and have actually formalized our strategy of digitalization around the public digital platform. And that's a very, very key driver to create frugal, low-cost solutions. And that's what I feel will be the reason why all will come together and create the next wave of growth in productivity through digitalization.
Absolutely, absolutely, Dr. Ajay. Thanks for that insightful thought process on how it is emerging or converging. Actually, I'll get back. I think we are still struggling with Pranjal to get on a connection to get his economic perspective. Ravi, we did talk in many of our forums, and we have been meeting, right? Ecosystem convergence, right? I'll not speak too many words so that you get diverted into many topics. Where do you see the real inflection of impact, right? It cannot happen with only technology. It cannot happen with only getting the large industries pepped up. It cannot happen only with just by pushing MSME. It cannot happen without standardization. It cannot happen without skills. How do you want to kind of hold it all together and converge it?
I mean, Vivek, you have brought this question on the borderlines of how we as a country behave. When I say behave, it's not the outward behavior, it's more evolutionary part on things. Now, if you look at digitization, in certain countries, as Dr. Ajay and Mr. Dubey had alluded, forced digitization as a government-driven platforms and the results of it. And this kind of digitization, where you talk about the railways digitization, banking digitization, or Aadhaar, or bank accounting, and linking the populace, the fruits of digitization towards benefit of the larger economy and populace, I think that has never come to this quantum and quality of human development as it has done in India. Now, let me allude to what I was saying earlier. Was it forced? It was not forced, but it was enabled through different agencies, and the circumstances and readiness was ripe enough to lift the entire populace. I'll draw this parallel to your question, Vivek. I deliberately brought about this analogy because the similar digitization and facilitation of different technologies, as you and me are regularly discussing, skill development, availability of technology, consultancy, collaborative aspect, these are important peripheries. But the need and the size of the market is the prime constituent of the recipe for the success you are speaking about. So I would say, in short, that all these parameters are there. They are gathering speed, momentum, and quantum. And I see a parallel rise in the basic need from the market, from the manufacturing. The only thing is, how can encouragement be done? And these initiatives as Atmanirbhar Bharat, as never in the past have the supporting pillars been so strong and so tall as they are becoming now. So if our populace sitting on the biggest market starts to utilize these, I believe our COEs for skilling, our bed testing beds, our facilitation, our departmental approaches, private, public, and joint sector, I think it's quite a right time, quite an opportune time, and we will be happy to facilitate and make sure things are done. We are not a country where it can be controlled and administered in a forced way. We have to go the organic way, and it's already happening. Over to you.
Absolutely. Rightly said, Ravi. I think we are, and as it said, right, we are already into the next normal, right? But yes, if I see from our NASSCOM Center of Excellence perspective, where we get the adopters in, right, who see the big pictures, and we are talking with the large manufacturing companies, and these are the heads of the manufacturing. I think the real marriage between technology into the industry value chain with this whole ecosystem put all together, and skills, Mr. Dubey, is a very important aspect, is where the inflections would always go into. And I think it has started. We are much far ahead. This brings me to some last set of rapid fire in next 3 minutes to all of you, and I'll go the first minute with Dr. Shishir. Dr. Shishir, you are on rapid fire. Now, you heard what Ravi said, right? We, as an ecosystem, let's see a broader perspective that the ecosystem brings in all the elements, whether it is the innovation platform, whether it is the integration platform, whether it is policy platform. How do you see all these actually delivering result to the industry segments? I'm not talking about the technology people out here, the recipients, right? And with your thought process on the possible interventions as well.
So that's a good question, but there's no rapid fire answer for this. The essence of solutions is double-edged, or it is two-way. One is technology push, and the other is technology pull. So we have a lot of pull in our corporate system, in our industry work, in the industry's ecosystem, and we need to leverage this pull and supply, integrate the value-added chain, and give all the ingredients of manufacturing. Since we are talking about manufacturing, get all the ingredients ready in India and get it going for this pull which is created by our industry, in the demand which our industry has, and not only for local but for global this thing. As far as these skills are concerned, a lot of people talked about it, but let us not think that everything is going on fine. We have done a very good start with creation of a department called MSD, Ministry for Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, and they have taken some good initiatives in retail, logistics, and some of the other services sectors. But a lot has to be done in the manufacturing areas of skill, and the future skills which are recognized by the world skills, and the countries which are doing the manufacturing, like Germany, Japan, Russia, China. They understand these skills, and we need to have an ecosystem to enable our workforce with these skills, whether it is additive manufacturing, whether it is aspects of digital factory, whether it is the integration of drones, whether it is information system security. Our enterprises are far away from the information security. Our fintech system is, but our enterprises are far away from the information security. If we have to do the digitalization, then we have to integrate the information security like the way we have done in the financial system.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
Just one
Yeah,
minute. The skills of adding the Internet of Things, skills of life cycle management, skills of robotic welding, and so on, so many other aspects. These are all skills which are recognized by the advanced countries, and we need to integrate them with our system. Just to give you a good example, there is a special.
Shishir, I think we'll have to give the baton to Mr. Dubey. Mr. Dubey, you want to comment on what Dr. Shishir said, right? Because you are at the execution end, and I would like you to enforce upon the industry zone concept here, not the skills zone, right? Because that's where the ecosystem for skills for ecosystem would converge into. 30 seconds for you.
Yeah, I think I agree with Dr. Shishir what he said very nicely. But the industry zone means it is a domain-specific innovation by the domain-specific people. So we are creating some ecosystem where domain-specific experts will be there. Suppose the automobile, health tech, your steel, your aluminum. On that areas, what we do, we created an ecosystem where domain-specific innovation, domain-specific expert, domain-specific skills also will be simultaneously been developed through the skill development agency. So, some of the things you must be knowing near to here, the people who doesn't know English also. Those the challenges is them how those people could be skilled to run the 3D printers, high-end 3D printers, robotics, arm handling. So this is one of the, because what happened, the startups are coming with their some of the best of the best technology. Who will go to run? We need skill, and
Absolutely.
that is the one thing we have taken.
I'll come back to Mr. Dubey. I think well said. I want Dr. Ajay to take the last take. Dr. Ajay, if you're there. Ecosystem, right? I'm bringing that topic again and again, not to overwhelm people out here, because we as NASSCOM Center of Excellence and working very close with you, with my team, has experienced that there are so many ecosystems created today. The adopters are confused, right? I think we have brought a very good innovation platform with startups, with all the people who would really contribute to it. If I am a manufacturing unit, or if I am a healthcare unit, or any industry, right? What is that would let me go to a place, whether it is NASSCOM or any other place, and say that, look, please help me out in my digital journey? Where do you feel is the critical success factor?
You're absolutely right. Everyone is excited about Indian innovation through startups. Everyone is excited about the way technology or the research translation is happening through this innovation ecosystem. And there is a lot of things that are flowing into the system, whether it's the state government, whether it's the industry, and whether it's the central government. Now, the problem is that you do not have the wherewith where every one of these can be independent. You need an ecosystem that interconnects all these. In MeitY's initiative on the MeitY Startup Hub, a platform which interconnects all these ecosystems, that's around 20 Center of Excellences by STPI, 5 to 6 by NASSCOM, many others by many different educational institutes, more than 100 deep tech incubators through the TIDE scheme and the institutes of higher learning, or whether it's the large industry, international partners, and or investor community which is bringing in rupee capital into India, which will be, I think, a game changer, and which will make our deep tech industry stay back in India and not actually go out offshores after they mature out. All these have been interconnected through a platform called the MeitY Startup Hub, and which actually interconnects and complement each other, and actually tries to use the strength of one ecosystem with other. But the topmost priority in India to actually create this to actually freeze these dots is the infrastructure.
Absolutely.
Sad to see
Absolutely.
Pranjal not able to actually intervene.
Yeah.
The connectivity is an issue, which is a digital part.
Yes.
Data privacy and the data ecosystem and the seamless exchange of data between different ecosystems is one part of the digital infrastructure, and there are many other parts of the. So the NIF, the NOFN, and many other such initiatives, and obviously the connectivity reaching the last mile through the BharatNet. And
absolutely.
These are all such ecosystems that will convert this into national wealth.
Absolutely. I think there's a big, we have not brought 5G out here. And I've been in discussion with CoEI some time back. That brings a different element to it. I think with that, we have done.
So the moment you bring in 5G, you bring in Huawei also.
I know. Let's talk offline. So I think we have come to an end of this panel. The other panelists are waiting for the session 2, where we're going to do a deep dive in terms of a digital transformation and the ecosystem, right? And we're going to harp upon with the adopters there, with top companies coming in and talking about their adoption, not from the technology perspective, making a value into the value chain. With that, I think I would really applaud the efforts by each of the panelists, and I think Mr. Bagla has already left. But a big thanks to you to make it a success. Voice of Manufacturing, we are running on the 6th edition of EcoNclave. We are very receptive to the industry. You are being heard by 400 to 500 industries right now, which is a mix of adopters and all types of every bit of the ecosystem, right? Not only the startups. So I think this brings a rich insights for all the people, and I'm sure you continue to be a part of our ecosystem. So when we talk about ecosystem, we are talking much beyond than just the startups, which actually is a critical success factor for digital transfer. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vivek. Very nice.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vivek. Excellent. Well done.
Great.
Thank you, everyone. I would just like to welcome the second session panelists to join in, and I'll hand it over to Vivek for moderation of the session. Welcoming all
Great
the
to have
panelists.
you.
Thank you.
Great to have all of you. I think the introductions has already happened. The audience have already heard.
Vivek,
about
handing
your
it over to you.
Yeah, we can hear you, Shani. Can you hear me? Hope I am audible to everyone.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, Vivek, very clear.
Yes.
Perfect. So I was saying that all your introductions has already been made because it's a common audience, and I think we have really 95% of the audience carry forward from our session one, right? We have 400 to 500 audience here. Very rich. These are very senior people from different organizations, from adopter organization, from tech SMEs, from startups, from government bodies, all within the ecosystem. I think much more than we had expected. So you are visible to all those people. I really extend a very, very warm welcome for each of the panelists. Ishani, if you can just pop up the slides, and I'll give you a bit of background what we discussed in session one. Probably you had been listening to the session one as well, right? We had Mr. Bagla talking about the whole new landscape. He was talking about gone are the days of talking about the new normal. We are already into the next normal, right? We are connected like this, stretched across different parts of the country. And in the last session, we had people from Moscow and people from different parts of the world, right? It could not have been possible if not digitized like this way, right? And digitize is, the foundation of digitalization, right? I don't want to confuse people out here. And we were talking about the economies and how do we see India into the global map, right? In terms of creating an impact, imprint. And I shared something. Shani, if you can just pop up the second slide out there for a very quick glance to give you a perspective that how India has changed into the next league, right? Shani, if you can just pop up. We also had a discussion around the ecosystem, basically, where every bit of the ecosystem would evangelize to bring. So if you, if you really look at this, we have been talking around this, but not really this. The whole industry scenario, I'm very sure Vijay is going to like this in terms of how it is flaring up in the industry, changing a challenge into an opportunity, right? The PLI scheme, 350 to 380 billion dollars in raising the manufacturing value chain, and of course how the auto companies and ancillaries are growing, right? We have heard Nitin Gadkari talking about it, how different people and people on automotive have already overbooked till next March, right? And of course, there are challenges also into the Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative, which we have in terms of the after sales, where we have a lot of spurious or basically imitated products as well, which you need to kind of get through. And if you see the next one, how the impacts has next one. How the impacts has already started cropping in, right? Impacting with digital to ROI is all indicative range, but it is not makeup ranges, right? How we are, if you see from the quality perspective, the cost of rework or the cost of recalling. Recently, we heard that GM is calling back, I think, somewhat around more than 700,000 vehicles because of faulty braking systems, right? If we can address that problem much before than it has appeared, what it could happen in terms of really saving, and it comes back to the ROI, right? If you go to the next one, I'll keep that slide into an anchor mode, which is a kind of maybe a bird's eye view for all of you to see it from a perspective. Next one, Shani, if you just click once more. How the ROIs are shaping up across all these fins of the industry, right? each of these, if you see, is a challenge within the industry. Each of you have seen this. I would not say this is 100% complete. I would not say this is 90% complete. It is between 90 to 95% complete, because we have done the industry research on this. And the answer is lying on the tip of this, how much value you want to create across these digital offerings, right? So with this factor, right, I think, Nishani, you can bring down the slide and we can get on more on a speaker mode now. I will put the baton into the hands to Mr. Vijay, right, to talk about how the industry challenges. It's an agile market. It is a competitive field where adoption is not a option. It is a mandate, right? And if you really ask people about why digital, that question is very inherently answered, because it has to be digital. So Mr. Vijay, if you look at the whole industry value chain and the dominance of adoption of digital, how do you see this whole landscape flaring up in terms of getting the real value to the industry value chain?
Thank you, Vivek. First thing, let me confess, I would have been very happy if I was 10 years younger today, no? Because opportunity is so big in entire manufacturing sector that I would have loved to play on front end, no? In place of just playing like a coach, no? So very sincerely, I mean, you use the word competitiveness. I mean, everything, I mean, the buzzword is always competitiveness. And we need to understand that competitiveness is relative and is not a fixed goalpost. I mean, it keeps on changing. Okay. Now, I mean, if we see current world, okay, first is that as a country, our aspirations are very, very high. Okay. And our resolve is also great. And we look at whether government or industry or society, we are ready for a bit of change also and take some pain also. So I don't feel we were ever ready as we are ready today. Okay. And I see convergence. I see convergence because, I mean, over the years, we have learned a lot about what is manufacturing, what are best practices, how we have to really achieve it. And fortunately, we had customers, and especially if I talk auto, with competition from around the world. I mean, everybody from everywhere. I mean, look at America, Japan, Korea, China, I mean, Europe. Everybody wanted to be in India, and in other words, spoil our customers, no? And so customers have tasted what is best. Okay. So if we have to be there in this environment, I mean, obviously flexibility, because the rate of change is very high. Speed is becoming very important today, and speed to market, speed to resolve issues, speed to delivery, all those things are becoming important. And very sincerely, if we don't use the tools available today, and if others use, then we have no choice of meeting those expectations. I mean, we will not be able to meet it. So, Vivek, you were very right when you said that we have no choice but to really look at all the new best practices and enablers. And for me, technology, I will not like to differentiate between digitization and IoT and Industry 4.0. I think all these things go together, and look for opportunity to improve our matrices in various walks of life, whether it is cost, quality, delivery, logistics, supply chain. I mean, it's an entire value chain which gets better and becomes more competitive. And this is what I will say as why I feel that this is the right time and very critical to look at these new enablers and see wherever it makes sense. Okay, because and early adoption will give us a leverage to remain relevant. In any case, these are going to become hygiene after some time. Okay, and then we will have to find, our own strengths, which will differentiate. So Vivek, I will like to pass there. Yeah.
Great. I'll come back to you, Mr. Kalra. I think well said. It is inevitable to kind of be an adopter of technology, right? And he rightly said, it's not about IoT. It's not about. It's about becoming a data-driven organization, right? And of course, I will bring the flavor of AI as I walk in, and with that, I'll bring in Srini, who comes from International Aerospace Manufacturing organization, and he boasts of. I'm just kidding. He says that he has really adopted digital very well, right? And of course, the place where he is in, it's beyond inevitability to embrace the technology because you're dealing with such a high accuracy, Srini. So Srini, over to you to really get an insight on that across your value chain, whether it is supply chain, whether it is core manufacturing, you have been an early adopter. I'm just saying you have been an early adopter the way I have seen, talking to you till now. What is that way you feel that you are on a best practices, and what is that? It's not that you would have become 100% perfect. What is that where you would have still struggling on or finding it challenging? Over to you, Srini.
Thank you, Vivek. Yeah, Shani, just I presented some slides. If you can help me with presenting them, it will help me. So coming on to whatever Mr. Vijay said, adapting digital is no more an option. It is a requirement to be in business or to be competitive. And all of us in business, we know that we have to be competitive to be there in business in a for a sustainable period at least. So that is very, very important and relevant for us to be successful. Coming back to what we did, to be very specific to the questions that's posed by Vivek, how did we deal with kind of being optimal in production capacity and efficiencies in the supply chain? I'll split this into two. And second thing, how did we do it? Why is it required and how did we do it? And the conventional way with using the packaged software, the packaged software, what I mean is there are ready-made software today available. Those are all the days gone, using an ERP, using a scheduling software, using a CIM software connected with your design and machines, using the MES, and a lot of bolt-on software. These are all happening for the last 2 decades or more than that. And of course, thanks to all of those conventional legacy, our business, we are at a 9 months lead time for a new product development. And in today's situation, particularly after the pandemic, the market is so much disturbed, or the volumes have come down, particularly in our industry. But at the same time, to meet our aspiration, we need to be doing double quantity of new products than what we used to do earlier. So there is customers also need it yearly. There's an opportunity behind this. As I was listening to what Vivek was telling earlier, there's an opportunity coming from our neighbors, who the whole world is looking at India as an option, and we don't have a choice but to make use of this situation. But how do we do that? Speed is very, very essential to do this. So, and to meet our aspiration. So currently, we were behind kind of delayed developmental periods to customers, 9 months. Though 2-3 years back, this was one of the best in the industry. Today, it is 9 months. Customers are telling, don't even talk to us 9 months. That is the kind of business we are in. And for our aspiration also, we'll have to cut down this by at least 50 to 60% immediately. If I go to the next slide, I'll tell you how did we transform here. So one thing, first to improve the speed within our own system without going into anything, we have to do a little bit of adjustments within those packaged software, whatever we use, using the systems to deliver zero defect in quality, and of course everything in a safe and perfect way. How do we operate the business? And then the speed comes in automatically, the efficiency. So we used our MES connected with our machines, and live OE, overall equipment effectiveness, is visible to the operator, whoever is operating the machines. It comes live in front of him, and if at all they are going to encounter any problem, it is visible to them using the SPC, the display of the SPC charts. I know they know very well what is going to go out of tolerance if something is going to go out of tolerance. So we have kind of adapted and made some changes to the technology, whatever we use, and made it visible to the people, or created visibility to the people who are really doing the work. And that really helped us. The operator really knows that it's going to some deterioration is happening, and during the break and also to communicate to the various stakeholders in this. For example, the methods engineering or the maintenance people. There's a method call or a maintenance call, and which can be raised and scheduled by the operator himself proactively in a preventive way. So that really helped us to eliminate the waste in the processes and in proactive way. So that really helped us to improve the speed in the process. But coming to whatever I told you earlier, how do we improve the speed in the new product development? Adding to whatever we have, we realize in business. But sometimes we are most of our development is using intelligence in every company and every business. So how do we create intelligence in our business, and how do we use, there are tools available, how do we use our learning over the last few years and convert that, teach that to a system where it can learn by itself and kind of give us decisions and results the faster way. So that is where we adapted kind of combined artificial intelligence along with a few other technologies. Yeah. So when I thought that there are several steps in the new product, including the method design and tool selection, some of the special tool design, again to the FMES, that is failure mode effective analysis on the process side, inspection planning, risk management, non-conformance management, all that. So what we started experimenting this in a smaller baby steps, like the inspection planning. The inspection planning based on the past several years of experience on several parts, we taught the system on how to do an automated inspection planning when you feed the data, and we fed close to 64. We taught the system close to 64,000 features, of our past experience, and the first results were amazing for us. The alpha results are at 89% accuracy, and we fine tuning, and then it goes up to at the latest stage. Now it is at 90 plus levels of accuracy. Similarly, on the FMEA, we are fairly getting an accurate results. These are all, finally, what is it going to, how it's going to help us? This is going to help us to reduce 40% reduction in our time to market to launch the new products. It is really required for us to be in this business, and there is an opportunity for us to be a kind of whatever we are in today in the normal performance, like whatever we call the conventional safety, quality, delivery, cost, and management. All our performance, our customer scorecard is very healthy today. Kind of one of the best in class. But that is only for today. We know that unless we grow the business and sustain this kind of research, we are not in performance. And to be growing our business and meeting the people, aspiration of the people, this is very much required. And we have started, as Vivek said, we are one of the early adopters, but there's a long way to go. There's a long way to go as we see. Yes. Today, not only that, and we are also design something what we are also agreed. And also,
Srini, we are losing you out. So maybe we can switch gears here.
yeah, also meeting the
Yeah, we lost you for some time.
Okay, do you hear me better now?
Uh, yes, yes. I think we heard. So we'll come back to you, Shini. I think we have got the real sense of early adoption, and we are really charmed that you are still saying that we have a long way to go, while have adopted things at such a great level, right? Where you're talking about a time to market reduction, right, by 40%, which is a big metric, and I'll get back to Vijay in a while to comment on that as well, how he has seen across in the industry. With that, I'll switch over to Nand for some time. So, Nand, you within your industry, you have also seen, you have been, I'm sure you have been into the journey of digital adoption, right? And bringing the value, not for the sake of technology. As Ajay said, I really like it. It's not about IoT, it's not about emerging technologies, but it's about adopting to really create the value for yourself, for your stakeholders, right? And your stakeholders are connected to your end customers. So how do you see this whole digital maturity changing? One is analyzing from where you are, mapping into where you want to go, and then of course treading on that path to really start your journey at different types of speed, right? Whether it is a first gear, third gear, or second gear. How do you see that journey?
Absolutely. I think great question. I presume I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
If not, that's a new normal then. But that's okay.
Yes.
So again, a great question, Vivek, and a great segue to explain what exactly we're trying to experiment during this time. See, right now, digitization has become buzzword for everyone. Like, be it like a normal, say, vegetable seller to the big corporates. Everyone is trying to understand the real value out of this digitization, and everyone is trying to sort of try and experiment multiple things, keeping the consumer value, keeping the core principles, keeping the value system of the organization, and then designing some kind of a work streams around it. Now, there is a lot of literature, there is a lot of, say, thought leaders' perspective available on the digital journey. Now, if we have to do little bit of, say, what I can say, simplification and understand that how one can really assess digital maturity, how organization can move, say, from current state to the advanced state. I feel there are four broad stages which typically we try to adopt in so-called fast-moving consumer goods industry. But I see there is a wide application of these principles everywhere. And these four broad stages, I will just try and explain in very briefly and try and give some examples or say use cases also on this. So the first stage is called a digital passive kind of industry. Digital passive, as the name suggests, these are the industries either by nature of those industries or the by nature of leadership involved in those industries. They feel that they are good at what they're doing right now, and they are really not worried about, say, embracing the digitalization. They are happy with the work processes. They are happy with the core competencies which they have developed over the years, and they feel that it can really help them survive for a longer term without embracing the difficult or say ever changing this digital world. So that's the first state of industries in this digitization journey called digital passive. Second stage is called digital literate, and that's an interesting stage. Probably crisis like COVID, and if we unwind little bit of say history, even the previous crisis, be it any disruption, either through pandemic or equivalent, have really forced organization countries to move from say digital passive state to digital literate state. Now, what exactly digital literate state means? Where you make say conscious efforts to understand say digital approach. In industry parlance, it is called a POC stage, where you are experimenting multiple small things and trying to get say value out of it. POC stands for proof of concept. But again, you are not scaling it up. You are not trying to sort of do say industry wide kind of a implementation. I personally feel that as a country, we are also somewhere trying to be in say digital literate zone across the multiple industries, or trying to move little further from it. Third stage, as industries from say digital literate, they move to a stage called digital performer. Now digital performer, where the industries really consider digital as a true advantage, where the implementation is done across a value system, where there is a mindset and appetite of the leadership to invest, to understand the digital benefits, both at a senior level and then percolate it across the organization. So that's a third stage. And final stage, where typically say industry really performs and gets the best out of say these digital initiatives, is called digital leader. So digital leader is a stage where the industries not only implement the external best practices, but they create an ecosystem where the next practices for the industry gets created by themselves. So that's a journey, that's a roadmap for say any particular industry to move from say digital passive to digital kind of a state. So this is one way of looking like where you are and where you want to be. Maybe if you take all these elements on one particular axis, on other say perpendicular axis, means a little bit technical, but you can map your organization, right? Say from consumer to the internal multiple functions. You can start say front facing function to the back end functions, technical functions, non-technical function, creative functions, and then understand that where exactly you are fitting into this particular roadmap, and then devise the strategy that yes means by doing say these fundamental changes, not just say in the technology but also in the behavioral things, in the education things, in the capability things, I can move from one stage to other. And there are Vivek, believe me, there are so many success stories out of it. Means I can talk about my own organization. Like we have gone through this say lifetime experience, which is again a great opportunity for us to think differently as outcome of current ongoing pandemic crisis. No one would have thought that you can run the entire factory operations remotely, and I'm talking about large scale factory operations. When at initial stage there were say restriction in terms of people movement, we could get the people who say nearby, typically the shop floor colleagues, but we couldn't get people who were say staying in the other districts and who has to do say some kind of a supervisory role. But because we had what we call IDF, integrated digital factories, entire factory was visible on a screen on a laptop, and where remotely people could guide people on the shop floor and run the entire factory operation seamlessly. Means if we unwind ourselves 6 9 months back, probably this was unthinkable, but it was done very fast because fundamentals were there. We were progressing on this
Absolutely.
digital journey. And there are so
Yeah.
many such success stories. When I talk about production, I can talk about the supply chain, I can talk about several other things. But this is just to give you a flavor, Vivek, that how the
Absolutely.
digital journey can be done and how industries can benefit
Yeah.
from it.
Yeah. We used to say necessity is the mother of discovery. Actually, necessity is the mother of invention. Yeah.
Perhaps,
So
I will go a step further, Vivek, if you allow me 30 seconds. See, there is a saying that never let a good crisis go waste. And COVID has opened up so many doors, and it's up to leadership, it's up to like organization to create a right appetite ecosystem and get best out of it now.
absolutely, absolutely. So I think with that perspective, with that adopter perspective, I want to shift gears and take the horizon of perspective totally twisted and spinned off, and then I'll come back to the adopters again. While Ishani is popping up something which you all see and try to get a hang of that. So I'll pass the baton on to Sunil San. He's my Indian Japanese friend. Uh, uh, so Sunil San, you have been in the industry and of course catering with you have been of course our partner and catering to various industries, right? From the provider side, you would have seen the challenges appearing, right? You have seen the best practices which she talked about.
Right.
You would have seen the best practices yourself and the challenges. What is your provider perspective? there, right? What is your provider perspective of an holistic? It's not about just remote management. It's about scaling to the value chain, right? Scaling solution to the value chain and making a difference there.
Yeah, Vivek, thanks. It was a nice discussion actually. I will just bring a complete Japanese perspective to this smart manufacturing. So when we talk about smart manufacturing, IoT, IIoT, or digital manufacturing, Industry 4.0, from Japanese point of view, we called it as e-factory. And this concept was well introduced by Mitsubishi Electric in Japan in year 2003. And the important point is that when we introduce this concept, so we first implement in our own factories. So most of all our factories I can see in Japan, in Nagoya, Fukuyama, we have implemented e-factory. So when I say e-factory, so it's, as Mr. Nand said, that visibility. So we have the complete visibility of the manufacturing processes at the reception or to the management, top management. So entire, all the machineries, all the shop floor, what is happening on the shop floor is everything is visible. And in that, we also added the suppliers also, the tier 1 suppliers and tier 2 suppliers. That is happening in Japan. If you talk about in India, last two and a half years, I think we are talking about Industry 4.0 or smart manufacturing or IoT on various forums. And now we are in a POC stage, or we are doing it in various automotive industries. When I say e-factory, we integrate all the equipments and it generates a lot of data. So we also have a lot of industrial networks. So we integrate various equipments on our network. We introduced CC-Link IE, that's a 1 gigabyte network way back in 2007. So that becomes a backbone for carrying all the data. If you talk about FPD panels manufactured in Samsung in Korea, or if you talk about, there are many two-wheeler manufacturers in India where the takt times are very less. Automotive industry, and we need to carry that data on the network. Of course, people are trying wireless technologies, Zigbee and all these things, but then we have a very strong industrial Ethernet network, because industrial Ethernet network is becoming more and more popular in the industry. Of course, technology will change after implementation of say 4G to 5G, but till now we are talking about connectivity of all the equipments on the industrial Ethernet network. And when I come to challenges, what is happening is that in India, we have got equipments which are working for more than 15, 20 years, or there are various manufacturing facilities in two-wheeler, four-wheeler or farm division, mainly in automotive industries as well as in pharma and other industries, where the equipments are running and they are doing the production. So when it goes, how do we integrate those equipments which are with a legacy controller? So there are solutions are available to integrate those solutions also. And we as a e-factory, Mitsubishi Electric, we work with the e-factory alliance partners. Worldwide, we have more than 700 e-factory alliance partners. Those could be from IT, those could be from the system integrators, or maybe from the device partners like vision system manufacturers or RFID manufacturers. So we have e-factory alliance partnership. So everything works together and we do lot many solutions. And when we say digitization or e-factory, I would like to say that these are all scalable solutions. So first we need to pinpoint what exactly the manufacturing company needs to address whether they are looking for quality improvement, whether they are looking for productivity improvement, manufacturing, what exactly, efficiency, energy management. And if we do that, then definitely we will able to take a proper steps and we do the investment in the right direction. And as correctly said by my panelists, this needs to come from the top people, where the digitization is a drive, and you need to involve all the stakeholders: maintenance, manufacturing people, supervisors, supply chain, up to the ERP level, where we are going to integrate everything to the SAP. So we have done this in many two-wheeler industries in last 2 years, up to two-wheeler manufacturers as well as four-wheeler manufacturers, Indian automotive as well as mainly in the Japanese manufacturing in Ahmedabad and all these things, where everything the shop floors is visible, and they are seeing the benefits of this digitization, because we need to produce, and we need to produce right at the first time itself. So we have to have a good quality products produced at the right time itself. So when we talk about, and in our factory automation products, because we are a primarily PLC, HMI, that is a GOT, we called it as a VFDs, then LVS, robotics, AC servo system. So these are all products which we have introduced, and we are very strong in that area for a couple of years. And now Nagoya, the mother company, the mother factory, is last couple of years is focusing on e-factory or maybe the solution business, what we called it as. And we are quite successful in various industries, including pharmaceutical, F&B, and automotive industries. There are many examples available. Even in Intel in Malaysia has adopted e-factory. Lotto in Japan, where they manufacture chocolates or maybe cakes, there they have implemented e-factory. So these solutions are available. If you talk about our own manufacturing plant in Pune, we have implemented e-factory very well. So that can be made visible to the people can visit. And what exactly we got SMT machines, we have got inspection machines. So everything is integrated. Everything is integrated up to the ERP level, and the top management can very easily see what is happening on the shop floor. And as correctly said, that during this pandemic, even the manufacturing continued, and we could get all the reports on the mobiles as well as on the laptops, what is happening, how much production has happened. So all these facilities are possible with e-factory and e-factory alliance partners. That's my say.
Great.
And in addition to that, yeah, we just introducing new technologies like H-Cross and AI and ML. So all these things are technologies are available with us, and there are people who are also eager to work upon that, and they work with us very closely to make a POC as well as to implement at various levels. That's
Great,
overall
Sunil-san. I think
e-factory. Yeah.
I see a lot of, in fact, you talked about the right adaptability, right? And I think the right application of adaptability. So I think what I will do, Sunil-san, I think with this thought process, I will bring back, so Ishani, if you can bring back, if you can show up the last slide on the deck. What is the next normal, the way, of course, the slide I'm popping up is not 100% correct again, right? But this is out of our few previous sessions and talking to industry leaders. They gave us an insight. What does the next normal mean, right? And these are some direct pointers to where the changes are happening, right? For example, the whole supply chain is, the landscape of supply chain is changing, right? Ishani, are you able to pop up the slide? Yeah. So, these are 6 pointers, and sorry for making it so busy here, but you can look through the blue ones out here, and we will start addressing each of these with some kind of a thought process on each of these, right? When we go to the first one, this is where I want to bring Hema, right, who comes from a organization who has dirtied their hands and really gone into the depth of really implementing this across the supply chain, right? So Hema, if you are looking at the problem of decoupling and reconnecting the supply chain, right? We all know that there is a greater visibility and coordination which is required across suppliers, and you need to kind of de-risk your supply and of course optimize your logistics, right? Where do you find, or from your experience, where have you seen, we'll pop up your slide later, but with this, where do you see the biggest challenge coming in as a organization who's actually implementing digital to make it happen? You're on mute, Hima.
Yeah, Vivek, thanks for popping up this slide. Can you hear me now? I'm unmuted.
We can hear you.
Okay. So, as you mentioned correctly, greater visibility, connected supply chain, these are very important at this point. And when we're talking about adoption of technology, to get to that greater visibility, some of the challenges that I'm seeing right now while we are trying to adopt is the large number of stakeholders across the value chain, especially in India. And when I'm talking about the value chain, we start from suppliers to the end customer. The suppliers is manufacturers, then the transporters, and their warehouse vendors, their distributors, dealers, retailers, and there are n number of them at each and every step. So to get to that visibility, it is important that we need to collect data at every point and collect back the data to connect all the systems to get insights in a meaningful way. And I feel that is where a big challenge is in the industry currently. Like recently, we have been talking with a huge agro products manufacturer who, for example, just thinking about their last mile, they have just within South India, they're working with about 15 transporters. So to get to a point where they can point out what their last mile cost is taking the company about a week. So this is the challenge that we are trying to address, where we have to get that information from all these 10 customers, 10 partners who might or might not be open to upgrading the technology considering their low bargaining power and investment power, and then getting all of that connected through APIs or in an integrated way to that end customer to consolidate freight. So that is where the big challenge is, but there are a lot of solutions that are in the market. We have seen a lot of positive trends over the 5 to 8 years where companies are adopting, like most of the speakers have already spoken about collaboration within the industry associations where they're working towards co-creating technology solutions across industries. So the spending spending strain on a particular partner is less, and there's also the growth of 3PL or outsourcing models where bigger players are coming in. They have more of technology know-how, they have the bargaining power, they have the capability to scale as per need, and customers are adopting these outsourcing models to get a better visibility and get to that connected supply chain that we're talking about.
Great. I think that's a very insightful aspect, and if time permits, we'll get your slide as well, Hima, to get the perspective. But before I get back to your slide, I would want to turn on to Mr. Kalra. Mr. Kalra, if you see the second and the third point, right, which is the most important aspect, it's like the heart of the industry today, right? If that does not happen, nothing would happen, right? So quality assurance, right? I think we all are on a bandwagon of adoption. We all are on a bandwagon of, really being the early adopter. But we are running with a lot of other challenges, right? The way quality has been operating cannot operate today because the margins are going down, and of course the competitiveness is going up, right? And of course also the domestic manufacturing is also, or localization is also forcing us to go in that route. So from your perspective, right, as we become a data-driven organization, how do you see the second and third next normal really taking its shape?
So, Vivek, when it comes to excellence, normally you can't have excellence in one part of life. Okay, and especially when we are talking operations, operations is all about productivity, cost, quality assurance, safety, even things like now sustainability, and normally all these things go together. Reason is that you need that mindset for improvement and making sure that you take one step every day. Okay, every day you do something better than yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's all about ecosystem. Okay, I find very difficult sometimes. I may take a bit more time today. On this subject. When I was in college, we used to talk about efficiency, and it was Taylor and Gilbreth. Okay, so everything was that if you are in manufacturing industry and if you can take the best out of person, you are successful. When I was in Toyota, I learned that if you can use brain of a person, you are successful. So those idea of kaizens, small group activity, and all those things. And today it has become a norm that if you want to be successful, answer to every problem is digitization. No, digitization is not answer to every problem. Objectives remain same, principles remain same. Principles of lean and built-in quality, okay, remain same, or employee moral, which is linked with safety. All these things remain same. We have got some additional tools to do it more efficiently and more effectively. Okay, and the main difference is that earlier when we were trying to do PDCA, root cause and corrections, it was taking more time. Reason what? We were working with lag indicators, something which has happened. We are looking at that data, which may not be enough, it may not be that accurate. Okay, and then we were working, and then when we were trying to implement, by that time environment has changed, and even result of that was taking a lot of time to understand that we have used it. Today technology offers is, when we talk about data, okay, it offers us real-time information. Okay, now ability to use that information for a purpose again is a behavior and knowledge. Okay, how do you use that knowledge, data in a structured way? Now just think of, there was a time not very long back in Indian industry, we used to talk about 1% failure. Okay, and then double sampling plants and all those things, and we were reasonably happy with that. Today we are talking ppm, and most of the companies, yesterday I was just checking because of today's listing that where we are. So I learned that in machine component press parts we are at less than 200 and trying to be at 100 when it comes to ppm. Okay, which is 100 times better than what was 1%. Okay. So if you have to achieve these things, okay, you have to use current ways of doing things. Now, how different we are doing. First is that when I was listening to other speakers, to be very frank, auto industry has already adopted most of these things. Okay, okay. I have a company in our group which is aeronautical parts company. Okay, and clearly we see that when it comes to auto industry is quite ahead of it. Okay, and we are almost at par with the world. Okay. Today, there is not much of difference. Question is how we improvise and use it. Okay, so from the one most important thing of connected factory today is that your ability to know what went wrong where. Okay, and tomorrow link with this, no? Traceability. Okay, and when you were so how quality helps and why it is important. First is quality avoids damages and losses, the cost of quality and all those things. And second is, by making things more perfect, it is not about just meeting specs, going beyond. Okay, you can price your offerings at much higher price. So for same material or inputs which a company like ours will do, there are companies which are able to get twice the return than what we get. Okay. So today profitability and continuity depends on that. And actually, when you see the entire supply chain, the biggest hurdle which you have to come across is quality. Okay, at every stage of this thing. For like I deal with 40,000 components every day. Okay, anything, any failure anywhere, 99.9% is not enough for product to work. Okay, so we use all the right tools. Okay, the entire factory is connected from customer and the reporting, which used to take 6 days to understand problem. Okay, today it is a matter of 1 hour where you know the problem and you have understood it problem and shared with last concern. So problem ability to resolve issue. Okay, when it comes to quality is not about how you make a component right. Okay, it's all about even how you transport it right. When you receive it, whether how you park it right. Okay, sometimes if you don't you use FIFO, you get into problem. on the assembly lines, how you don't allow defects to run. So if you have digital ways of looking at this thing, it props up immediately. Uh, there are teams who immediately get the system tracks for closure. The system tracks for closure and verification. The system tracks when we deliver, when the thing has reached. Okay. If you are in perishable industry, then even the time taken is a quality. So the entire linkage. And as you were giving examples now, let's take example of Boeing now. Boeing 737 Max. After 2 failures, they had to take out 1,000 of those back now, because one of the software which we created had some snag. Okay, and there are multiple examples. I mean, examples of what happened to Hyundai and Kia just last month, no, when they had to recall close to 6 lakh vehicles back, no, because of some mistake in their slight leakage in brake fluid system. Okay, and at every stage, quality to be right and doesn't allow it to go ahead, we will not be competitive. And even productivity is directly linked with quality today. I mean, I have company suppliers who work on 25% of rejections. If you are working on 25% rejection and not using correct technology, okay, to come out of it, okay, either one day you will not be viable, or you will not be making money. No.
Absolutely.
I mean, I just asked to my factories to just share some of the answers they have on quality versus IoT, how they have used it. I have 48 entries which I'm going to review tomorrow. Okay, and a few of them are so good. Like we talk about the statistical quality control, they have measurements happening directly going to the system, showing graphs, showing trends, and telling them where to stop. Okay, so today it is. I mean, if you want to have built-in quality, okay, which gives you assurance that you will not only meet your date, but you will meet date with the product or offering of the right requirement. Okay, then it's a bit risk. No? So very sincerely, I feel that there is no way but to do it, and companies are adopting, and it's not difficult. Okay, and perception what we have is it is difficult. It's not difficult. And when it comes to top management and all those things, our problem is that till 2 years back, people from who were technology background and this thing, they were saying why technology, and they were not able to explain the why piece really, that what it will give in return. But once you go, once you try, and once you see success, then it spreads like fire. No. So I will. I mean, I even invite few of you that come and visit our factories. I mean, we are using them for anything. No.
Absolutely.
One of the example is that every unit of power across my 17 locations, okay, are measured. They are online, and we know where it is going more. Every unit of water, any given time, is known. Okay. So that gives you a chance to look at it, what went wrong. And any day you do better, then you say, why not this as a target, and see what better. No?
Absolutely, Mr. Kala. I think, yeah. Really, I think this is very inside. I mean, really, if you're talking about those 34 parameters, I'd be way more than happy to kind of really see, right? To tell the industry that this is the real value you take it out, right? This is the real impact across your value chain, right? And we are, as you said, it is not 1% now. We have moved to 100 basis point or whatever it is, right? We have gone to digits now. So I think with that, I will turn it. I'll resequence this in a slightly different way. You know, digital transformation in manufacturing value chain, as we are all talking about, we are picking each bit together from the provider side, from the adopter side. So Shini, if you look at the fourth next normal, which we are bound to hit, and I think let me say that you have been an early adopter there as well, right? Because you would have been sourcing it out while being at your national center, right, or at the aerospace manufacturing center. How do you see this next normal to penetrate more and impact in a positive way, right? that will be very insightful from the perspective of the KPIs you're hitting, and I think also bring a perspective of kind of an ecosystem you are bringing in, because it's not possible only through a provider company there, right? It requires a lot of other things come all together and resonate. The kind of impacts Mr. Kala is talking about, you cannot get that by just simply pushing a small technology into a point of problem kind of a situation. So, Srini, if you can really impinge upon on digital transformation and the ecosystem playing that role, how you have been taking that journey.
Yeah, Vivek. The most important thing what we realized, in fact, to just tell you, the first attempt what we made was a failure. To tell you, we realized the first 6 to 8 weeks nothing was moving. I mean, it's an usual problem. Like we did not involve people upfront. We realized that people were thinking, we formed a team and the team was driving it, and it was a big mistake. And in fact, everybody thought like the others were disconnected. It's only the team's job to drive the digital. And it is company's requirement, because we are working on one of the most important deliverable for us, the speed to market, which is very much required. So involving people in the beginning is very important, and before that, training people in why we are doing this is letting them know why we are doing this and why it is required, and they have to know that it is a survival part, then they hit it. That's the most important thing. So that is, though it is really difficult to get everyone, at a blue collar level involved and letting them know that what digital mean. So we have converted that to a very normal way of working. Instead of telling that this is a new normal, we are just telling that we are just trying to tell them. It is not.
We are losing you, Srini.
It is the same thing. So first, more important. Okay. So do you hear me now, Vivek?
Yeah, you're back. You're back now.
Yeah. So I was saying people are the most important piece of the work first, and getting the communication right is the next ecosystem. Not possible with 1 or 2 member team or with a team. The ecosystem has to be developed with the proper communication and the proper team. And the next thing is skill levels required. So you'll have to be very, very, be aware that some of the skill levels required here with a passion. You have to select the right people for the right job is very important. Moving with the right speed, create the right set of skill sets, and train the people in that. That we'll have to spend time and money in that effort. So that then a lot of positivity comes in. The people start believing that everything is possible by a team of people. Then the most important thing is to get this communicated to our customers. Like we are into this journey. The reason is they can also give their input, because we should not end up doing something which is not required by the customer later. So we have to involve them early and get their concurrence, and we got some finest inputs from them also. So just to answer to your question, it is first communicating getting the right people, getting right communication, getting the skill sets right, and even involving the customer in the beginning. These are all the things which are very important to create this ecosystem inside and both outside to keep it moving.
Absolutely, Srini. I think I know this can get into an endless discussion, but you covered a most important aspect of the end of value chain, which is customer, right? If you don't focus on that from an end perspective, I think we all are missing everything across the value chain, right? And I think quality is at as Mr. Kala talked about it. I think with that, I will set into a more deep dive with Hima. She has a one slider to say what she has done in a supply chain and network situation, right? With her customers, and how she has generated a ROI for them, which means what you said, Shini, right? Over to you, Hima, for 2 minutes.
Yeah, thank you, Vivek. So Like I said earlier on, we have seen a significant change in the mindset of our customers over the last 5 to 8 years, where they have become more open to adopting new technologies. And these are few areas where we have been creating value, working closely with our customers. Like when I talk about supply chain strategy and planning, predictive analytics have been playing a very important role. A lot of our speakers have already spoke about integrating the point of sale data back to manufacturing and how to reduce the overall inventory in the end-to-end system. And smart planning is helping our customers get to that. Another important area where we have seen a lot of impact, at least post GST, is pre GST. Every customer had to have a warehouse at a regional level in every state to distribute within an individual state in India. But post GST, customers can be served from any location to anywhere within India. So that has really helped us help our customers come up, get cost efficiencies through the system. For example, one of our customers had 27 warehouses. So because their spare parts had to be delivered to their customer within one day. So we evaluated all their years of data and suggested 7 locations to get to the same TAT. And that helped the customer reduce the cost and also meet the expectations of the customer. The next big area, because I have 2 minutes, I'm going to go through this very fast. Next big area is the physical flow. When I'm talking about physical flow, it is the movement of goods from the manufacturer to the end customer, touching n number of points in between. And there is a lot of data in this system, starting from manufacturer, and all the data is now being tracked in real time by most of our customers using various track and trace technologies. Great thing about India is a lot of this technology is not very expensive. It is easily available. Companies like Intogene, Skylo, they are coming up with IoT, SIM tracking, and even collaborating with the government to track goods using satellite information that we are collecting back. And this is being connected back to algorithms to predict accurate ETAs, to manage quality and errors within the system. Another big area where we have seen huge change is in the last mile delivery. As e-commerce is emerging, as tier 2, tier 3 cities are becoming like what we have been talking about, what the panel has been talking about, bottoms up approach, new demand centers have been emerging, and last mile delivery is becoming more and more important, and it's the most expensive part. So we have been using machine learning AI to figure out what are the optimal routes for delivery, what are the optimal type of vehicles, what is the optimal load size within each of the vehicle, and this is help us help customers reduce their costs and also meet the customer expectations of quick deliveries. And automation in warehouses through AGVs and predictive task completion times, that is a huge thing where we are seeing impact. And when I talk about performance management, historically people have been talking about high level KPIs like service levels, but now there is this whole smart control towers which is emerging within the supply chain industry, where all the data that is being collected is pushed back to the customer system. So at any point customer is able to see where a particular good is, and if there are any issues that are highlighted through alerts in real time. Even in Navata, we are doing that. So we are taking a proactive than a reactive approach. And within relationship management, there's customer relationship and there's supplier relationships, and AI chatbots, machine learning is playing an important role in improving the customer satisfaction. Gartner
Absolutely.
thinks, yeah.
Absolutely. I think, Eva, so this is great. I think it is quite, your one single slide is quite evident out there. Actually, we are going towards the end of this session, and I think there are other presenters waiting. But
Yeah,
great,
yeah,
I think
sure.
it's a great showcase of how exactly it is executed in terms of And I know you have been in the organization when everything was manual, and then that network itself has really given it back into shape. And this is the outcome. This is what I would say is the final outcome of using any technology, as Mr. Kalra says, right? Ultimately, it has to get into bits and bytes, right? And you need to know how to use that bits and bytes. Otherwise, digitalization, whatever you talk about, has no meaning. And when you see the convergence of everything, it is the prescriptive artificial intelligence or prescriptive intelligence which you have to churn out to a meaningful outcome, insights and outcomes. So great. I think I will just pass on a last rapid fire to Nand, who has to, I think, leave in next 1 minute as well. So Nand, the last minute is yours before I wrap up. You heard everybody, right? Patiently. Now, when you see this application in your FMCG industry and with your perspective, what is your first reaction onto it? What is where is the where is the catchment? Because you are very close to your customers, right? You are dynamically aligning yourself with the customers and the behaviors of the market as well. Now, what is your perspective there?
Absolutely. I think a great discussion, very enriching to hear everyone. My perspective is a bit simple that rather than taking a myopic view that working in silos and trying to solve the problem for today, this is a time where we have to talk about the end-to-end, say, ecosystem. And ecosystem, when we say that it's not just ecosystem for us, but for our suppliers, maybe even supplier supply chain. And if we are able to create that organization-wide appetite for the digitization, that will not help us to solve the problem. That will help us to create the competitive advantage for future. And that's how we are looking at, because we are in impulse category. Means we want to be there when the customer want to have that feel and experience. So our lead time is not like few days. It's be there at that particular time. And hence the initiatives across the value chain, initiatives across the ecosystem through meaningful digitization will give us the right competitive advantage, not just for today, but for tomorrow also.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think with that, we have spent maybe 10-15 minutes extra on this panel. I would like to wrap up saying that if you really see this whole IndDIC Voice of Manufacturing event, ultimately we have a containment. We have built up this whole ecosystem to get leaders like you to talk, of course, through the Voice of Manufacturing channel, right, which is become actually a digital channel, and in the times to come, it will be an event channel as well for us when we all open up, post-COVID. But yes, we are looking forward to get every bit of the ecosystem power play. We are trying to create experience zones. Right now, we are centered around 4 physical centers across India with Center of Excellences. We run manufacturing innovation challenges actually nationwide, where we bring the best of the ecosystem to solve an industry problem. We have already onboarded at least 10 or 15 industries into that, right? And we are similarly looking to onboard more industries and more partners like what we have from the provider side as well. You had heard our Sunil San talking about the e-factory whole bundle, how they create an impact for the industry. So this ecosystem is ready, right? We did talk about which ecosystem, how to decide upon. This is where we would come and join hands to form an ecosystem which is evangelizing across India, and not only India. We are bringing the best from India and taking the best out of India to across the border, actually, through this whole ecosystem of IndDIC. So we are looking at industries like you. We're looking like leaders like you to come and share and also participate and contribute towards a larger digital adoption, right? A lot of insights. I'm taking it back. I'll connect with you personally, one-on-one basis as well, which will give us more insight, and then we will take it forward from there. For now, thanks a lot. Thanks a ton for spending an extra time here. Very big applause for all who have participated and contributed towards it, all the participants as well. And we will converge onto a presentation as well, where you can opt to stay. The panelists can opt to stay, or they can hear, whichever way. We are bringing so maybe over to Ishani, right, to kind of switch gears here. But as I said, a big thanks to all the panelists. This brings a very, very vital information and insight to the participant. We have already started hearing from them a lot of claps and applauds. So a big thanks again. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Vivek.
Thank you so
all
much.
panelists. Pleasure having you here and hearing you out. For the next and the last session.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Ishani, your voice is slightly getting.
Yeah, I think there was an echo on the speaker. Yeah. So I would like to welcome Siddharth Desai and Mayank from Clean Slate Technologies, who would be talking about the various intelligent supply chain solutions with a short presentation. A brief introduction would help Siddharth and Mayank. I'll hand it over to you, and I'll pop up your slides as well.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Very good afternoon. It's amazing to be here. So I am the co-founder of Clean Slate Technologies, and we provide solutions to enterprises to enable the next generation IoT and digitization in their factories and warehouses. And we do this using location intelligence and sensor intelligence. Ishani, do you want me to present the screen?
You can go ahead and present if you want.
Okay.
You have.
Okay.
Would request, considering time crunch, to keep it a little crisp and short.
Sure. Definitely. Is the screen visible?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'll just dive into it. So as I mentioned that, we are aiming, and our mission is to, transform supply chains using sensor intelligence and specifically location, and bring the next, stage of digitization to these enterprises. Some of our key customers include companies like Bosch, Nokia, Saint-Gobain, JSW, Maruti. And we have multiple channel partners, and, we are solution partners to them for companies like Cisco, Accenture, and Deloitte. And we have been recognized by both IBM and Startup India for in this domain. So as I mentioned that the most important thing which we are doing is bringing this location intelligence. And since we have developed this technology, so location intelligence is something which we are aware of thanks to Google Maps and GPS. We are bringing this with the required changes. The required change being that we require much higher accuracy in indoor environments, especially in factory and warehouses, where a particular asset or an inventory can be just 1.5 meter large. We need a higher tracking system. And since we have developed this technologies, the three key areas and key asset classes which we have been targeting is the inventory assets, the material handling equipment, and the workforce operators. So there are various cost centers associated with all of these asset classes. For example, inventory assets, there's a maximum we have seen in projects. The maximum OpEx impact can go up to 20%, and there are 3% OE losses due to challenges with inventory verification and due to high search times for them. Similar for material handling equipment, the utilization is something which is not available to the project owners or the plant managers. And to drive more efficiency, to reduce the OpEx, we provide these solutions which can track MHE and optimize the routes and give a more insight to the project managers and the warehouse owners. Similar for workforce operators, efficiency utilization is one thing, and safety incidents is one thing which is very important. And since the outbreak of COVID, this has become even more important. It has become more important than we had imagined when we were designing these solutions. So So we have a vertically, integrated solution which has multiple components like hardware, the middleware, the firmware, and the final end user output, which is an analytics layer in form of web dashboards. And the idea is to convert this location intelligence, this raw information coming out of those hardware, into meaningful insights and how to bring digitization and optimize processes for these enterprises. So we have these four main components, which are the Creto hardware. Then we have our RTLS, the real-time location system engine, which computes all these locations, and finally the Inlog platform, which acts as the end layer for the end user output. So as I was mentioning, the final game plan is to bring this location intelligence and create digital twins of these factories and warehouses. And this has become even more important since the outbreak of COVID. The urgency has become even more important. The digitization of enterprises is not just important to give us an economic being ahead of other countries and other organizations. It's important that we have business continuity built into it. And this is where things these IoT sensors, this location intelligence comes into play. The idea is to first start collecting this data, create digital twins, and then optimize it using analytics layers, and finally push it back to the legacy systems which people are more used to using and are already having. Like any digitization which has happened till now has been around these WMS and MES. So the idea is to not just create an independent system, create this whole infrastructure, and do analytics on it, and then push it back to the legacy systems which people are more used to it. And this is a huge opportunity for enterprises as well as for people and companies who are in digitization and industrial IoT and I 4.0, which we have been calling it. So quickly going into the solution. So, MHE fleet telemetry management is something which we provide. We have seen that this has increased throughput by 18% because we are continuously monitoring their location, and hence we are able to monitor what the utilization is. Are they following the right routes? Are they stopping at the right places in a factory? There are multiple points within an assembly line where the MHEs need to be stopped. We are tracking everything. And one of the very important aspect is in warehouses and factories are mostly crowded because we are trying to achieve space optimization. Safety incidents is something which is very important, and using this location tracking system, we are able to monitor and bring about a decrease of 10% in these safety incidents. We provide heat map analytics to see if there are any traffic congestions or what better route can be. This can also lead to a remapping or re-architecturing the layout of the warehouses. All of this information is coming out, but from the raw data of location. Just a second. Yeah. So the next module is workforce productivity and safety management. We are very similar to what we are doing for MHE. We are tracking the utilization of people. If there are any data discrepancies, because right now there's no KPIs or there's no availability transparency between that, and handling safety incidents using different kind of analytics and things like spaghetti diagram and heat maps. So one thing which we realize is during COVID, natural use case came out to be social distancing. Using these same sensors, we were able to have this existing infrastructure and convert it into a safety monitoring system where we are monitoring distances between people and giving them alerts whenever there was a two people coming too close as per the COVID guidelines.
I think probably we have to just wrap up now, Mayank.
Okay.
I think it's really good to see how you have really blended the technology together into these kind of KPIs, right? Which you have, or actually the impact which you have created. Very nice to see this. So with that, and surely Mayank will connect with Siddharth and you to see how we can apply that more to the industry, right?
Yes.
From that perspective. So with that, Ishani, I think let's call it a wrap up, and thanks to everyone. Thanks to all the participants. The other side, we do have your questions. we always struggle with time. This time we try to cover more on a slightly more time, but actually we finally found that we are running short to address questions. So, but we will try to answer those questions one-on-one. Back to you. With that, thanks everyone. Maybe Shani, the final promo, and then we will close it all for everything.
Can we have the video, Vasuki? Just last.
So we call it off, Shani. So thanks everyone.
Yes.
And hope to see you
Thanks.
soon next month on Voice of Manufacturing 7th edition.
Yes, we'll get back to your questions one-on-one. Have noted all of them down.
Great. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.